North Carolina is one of those states that quietly hides some of the most fascinating geography in the entire United States. It's not just beaches or mountains, it's a perfect blend of both, stitched together by centuries of history, weather, and wild natural beauty. From the misty peaks of the Appalachians to the fragile sandbars of the Outer Banks, this state has a story written deep into its land. The state is divided into three main geographical regions: the coastal plain, the Piedmont, and the Appalachian Mountains. Each one feels like its own world. The flat and sandy coastal plain stretches across the eastern side, filled with wetlands, tidal rivers, and barrier islands that constantly shift with the ocean currents. The Piedmont in the center rises into rolling hills and red clay, the heartbeat of North Carolina's cities and growth. And then, further west, the land folds and climbs into the breathtaking Appalachian Range, with blue hazed ridges and valleys that seem to stretch forever. Covering over 53,000 square miles, North Carolina isn't one of the largest states, but it might be one of the most geographically varied. Mount Mitchell stands tall at 6,684 feet, the highest point east of the Mississippi River, surrounded by other peaks that make up the rugged skyline of the Blue Ridge Mountains. These mountains aren't new, they're ancient, some of the oldest in the world. The Uwharrie Range, for example, dates back nearly 500 million years, eroded by time but still defining the central landscape. Then there's the opposite extreme, the flat and delicate stretch of the Outer Banks, a string of barrier islands that run along the Atlantic coast. These narrow strips of land have witnessed shipwrecks, hurricanes, and shifting sands for centuries. They're sometimes called the graveyard of the Atlantic, thanks to hundreds of ships that sank along their treacherous shoals. But they're also legendary for something more uplifting. It was here, near Kitty Hawk, that the Wright brothers made history with the first successful powered flight. The geography that challenged sailors became the birthplace of aviation. Where the coastal plain meets the Piedmont, there's a sharp transition known as the fall line. It's where rivers tumble from higher ground into the flatter lowlands, creating natural waterfalls and rapids that once powered mills and factories. Towns grew around these spots, and this invisible line quietly shaped North Carolina's early economy. The Piedmont itself is a land of red clay, hardwood forests, and rolling hills. It's also where much of the population lives today. Cities like Raleigh, Greensboro, and Charlotte all sit here, rising from what was once farmland. Charlotte's elevation, around 750 feet above sea level, gives it a slightly elevated feel, while places like Boone, further west, sit over 3,000 feet high, one of the loftiest towns east of the Mississippi. Water plays a huge role in shaping the state. Roughly 10% of North Carolina's total area is covered by water, and its landscape is carved by rivers like the Yadkin Pd, Cape Fear, and Roanoke. Massive reservoirs have been created over time, both to generate hydroelectric power and to control flooding. Lake Matamuskeet, though, remains the largest natural lake, a vast, shallow sheet of water in the coastal region that reflects the sky like a mirror. Forests blanket a large portion of the state, including 1.2 million acres of national forest land. With over 120 species of trees, North Carolina is home to a range of ecosystems that shift dramatically with altitude and rainfall. In the west, high-elevation spruce and fir forests cling to the mountainsides, while down east, cypress swamps and longleaf pine forests dominate. It's a biodiversity hotspot, not only for trees, but for animals like salamanders and rare insects. Speaking of which, the state's mountains host the mesmerizing blue ghost fireflies, which glow continuously instead of flashing. They light up the forest near Asheville each spring, a ghostly blue shimmer that feels almost otherworldly. It's one of those small wonders you'd never expect to find, unless you knew where to look. The climate in North Carolina changes almost as drastically as the terrain. Along the coast, it's humid and subtropical, with warm ocean breezes and the occasional hurricane roaring ashore. Move inland to the Piedmont, and summers get hotter and more humid, but winters can bring chilly rain and frost. Head up into the mountains, and it's an entirely different story. Cool summers, snowy winters, and microclimates that mimic regions hundreds of miles to the north. In some mountain towns like Beech Mountain, Annual snowfall can exceed 80 inches, while in coastal cities, an inch of snow can shut everything down. Extreme weather is a part of life here. The state has been battered by hurricanes like Floyd, Florence, and Helene, storms that brought record rainfall and devastating floods, even far inland. The geography amplifies it. When torrential rain hits the mountains, it races down narrow valleys, overwhelming rivers and dams. Chimney Rock State Park, one of North Carolina's crown jewels, was recently hit hard by flooding, but ongoing restoration efforts are bringing it back to life. North Carolina's coastline is unlike any other in the U.S. It's long, complex, and fractal-like in its detail. Thousands of inlets, capes, and islands that constantly shift under the force of tides and storms. Cape Hatteras, Cape Lookout, and Cape Fear each jut into the Atlantic, shaping ocean currents and the lives of everyone who sailed nearby. Beneath the waves lie centuries of history, shipwrecks, pirate hideouts, and lost cargo from storms that ripped through in the 1700s and 1800s. Blackbeard himself sailed these waters, and his ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, was found off the coast near Beaufort. But North Carolina isn't just about the coast. Its inland beauty rivals that of any state. The Great Smoky Mountains, which straddle the western border with Tennessee, are a haven of mist and mystery. So much so that their very name comes from the natural fog that rises from their valleys. The state's highest regions, including Grandfather Mountain, have earned international recognition as a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, home to rare plants and animals found nowhere else. As the land climbs and dips, rivers thread through every part of it. Waterfalls, especially in the western part of the state, are everywhere. Whitewater Falls stands as one of the tallest east of the Mississippi, dropping more than 400 feet in total. But hidden gems like Linville Falls, Dry Falls, and Looking Glass Falls add to the spectacle, making the region a paradise for hikers and photographers alike. The central and eastern regions have their own wonders, vast stretches of farmland, pine forests, and even swamps that are vital to the state's ecology. The Great Dismal Swamp extends from the northern border with Virginia, filled with cypress trees, blackwater creeks, and ghostly fog that lingers over its waters at dawn. It's mysterious and beautiful, and one of the most overlooked landscapes in America. The soil beneath your feet changes dramatically as you move across the state. In the coastal plain, it's sandy and well-drained, perfect for crops like peanuts and sweet potatoes. The Piedmont's red clay is tougher but rich in minerals, and in the mountains, loamy soil nurtures apple orchards and forests. These differences helped shape where people settled, what they grew, and how North Carolina developed over time. Even the boundaries of the state tell a story. Some were drawn centuries ago using imprecise surveying methods, and the errors stuck. Today, those old mistakes still shape counties and property lines, reminders of how rough geography and early technology intertwined. Deep in the state's center, in Chatham County near the small town of Gulf, lies the exact geographic center of North Carolina, a quiet, unassuming spot that balances all the extremes. As diverse as it is naturally, North Carolina's geography also mirrors its culture. The coastal tidewater region leans toward fishing, maritime trade, and early colonial heritage. The Piedmont pulses with urban energy, tech industries, and universities. The Western Mountains keep a deep-rooted Appalachian identity, with folk traditions and self-sufficient communities shaped by isolation and terrain. 3 landscapes, 3 ways of life, all within one state. Mountains, rivers, coastlines. They don't just shape the land, they shape how people live, work, and even think. The geography of North Carolina has dictated its history and continues to influence its future. From the hydroelectric dams on its rivers to the wind farms rising on the coast, from the trails of the Great Smokies to the research parks of the Piedmont. Even in the smallest details, the state's land keeps revealing new wonders, like the salamanders that thrive in the mountain creeks, including rare ones found nowhere else on Earth, or the lightning storms that roll across the sandhills in summer, painting the sky with flashes of color, or the way the sun rises over the Atlantic and sets behind the Blue Ridge. A reminder that this is one of the few places in America where you can watch both in a single day. North Carolina's diversity of terrain, wildlife, and weather makes it a living textbook of geography. You could spend years exploring it and still find new corners, new stories written in rock and river. Every mountain has its legends, every coast has its secrets, and every ridge, plain, and valley plays a role in the larger story of how people and nature coexist here. In a single day's drive, you can start on a sandy beach, drive through fields and pine forests, cross rolling hills, and end up watching the sunset from a mountain over 6,000 feet high. Few places on Earth can offer that kind of transition. And that's what makes North Carolina so special. North Carolina, a state where the mountains meet the sea, where ancient forests whisper secrets of time, and where each small town hides a story waiting to be told. But beneath its postcard beauty and southern charm lies a geography so bizarre, so unexpected, that even lifelong residents might be surprised by what they don't know. So today, let's uncover 50 unbelievable geography facts about North Carolina that'll make you see the Tar Heel State in a completely new light. Stretching from the rugged Blue Ridge Mountains to the windswept Outer Banks, North Carolina packs an astonishing range of landscapes into its modest borders. It's one of the few states where you can hike among snow-dusted peaks in the morning and dip your toes in warm Atlantic waters by sunset. The state stretches roughly 500 miles east to west, but within that narrow band, elevation changes from sea level to more than 6,600 feet. That's right, Mount Mitchell, standing tall at 6,684 feet, isn't just the highest point in North Carolina. It's the tallest mountain east of the Mississippi River. The mountain range it crowns, the Appalachians, is among the oldest in the world. Older than the Rockies, older than the Alps, older even than the Himalayas. Once, these peaks rivaled the Himalayas in height, but time, wind, and water have sculpted them into their current serene grandeur. And deep within them lie ancient rocks that date back more than 1 billion years, making parts of North Carolina literally among the oldest exposed landforms on the planet. But swing to the coast and the story flips entirely. The Outer Banks, a chain of barrier islands stretching for about 200 miles, form one of the most dynamic and unstable coastal systems in the world. These shifting sands are constantly reshaped by storms and tides. Some islands have literally moved miles over the centuries, and new inlets appear and disappear like living, breathing things. Cape Hatteras, for example, has been called the graveyard of the Atlantic. More than 1,000 shipwrecks have been recorded along these treacherous waters. From Spanish galleons to Civil War ironclads and even World War II submarines, the ocean floor here is a museum of maritime history. So next time you cross the state line, take a moment to look around. Because in North Carolina, every mile holds a secret, and every horizon hides a story waiting to be told. So whether you're standing on the windy dunes of the Outer Banks, hiking a misty trail in the Smokies, or watching the sun dip behind the Blue Ridge, you're experiencing something extraordinary. A state where geography isn't just background, it's identity. The rivers, the ridges, the red clay, and the coastline, all of it comes together to make North Carolina a landscape of endless wonder. If this deep dive into North Carolina's hidden geography fascinated you, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which facts surprised you the most. And if you've ever explored this state, tell us your favorite place, the one that made you stop, look around, and realize just how incredible Earth really is. Because here, every hill and every wave tells a story, and North Carolina's story is one worth remembering.